Chris Goggin is the Director of Operations at Rinnai UK, the world's largest manufacturer of gas appliances, including high-efficiency multi-purpose water heaters and space heaters. Chris spoke to us about Rinnai's commitment to decarbonisation, how the business is supporting the global clean energy transition, and what's happening in the global energy market currently. Please introduce yourself and tell us about Rinnai.
My name's Chris Goggin, I'm the Operations Director at Rinnai UK. We work with various government agencies and trade associations to bring to market a set of technologies and services that will support the ongoing decarbonisation process we're faced with at the moment. As a member of Rinnai, which is the world's largest gas appliances and water control technology manufacturer, we have a stable of appliances that can really help us on our decarbonisation journey.
What is happening in the global energy market currently, and how does this affect the UK's direction?
Well, the current conflict that's going on the continent at the moment is certainly having a major impact on the energy scenario and geopolitics of energy across Europe, and therefore the knock-on effects into policy, sustainability, energy security, and so on and so forth. So Europe is now committed to phasing out Russian oil and gas, which is going to have a knock-on scenario in different regions of the European Union. One of those areas is obviously the UK, which will see a raft and has seen a raft of policy, legislation and standards come through, which is certainly going to impact the built environment. This sort of ongoing scenario and post-COVID green recovery will create several issues that we've got to deal with across the European Union and the UK. That'll include energy sustainability, energy equity, energy security as a vital part of that mix. These issues will see a potential acceleration of green, clean energy across the European Union, and it will begin to reframe energy as a geopolitical security matter. In critical predicaments like this, you can often see policymakers go to type or revert to type, which would be known technologies and policies. When policymakers revert to type and often deploy at-hand technologies and tactics, this can often be accompanied by a somewhat reductive approach that can crowd out sort of nuanced approaches to long-term energy security and sustainability that can leave out planning for the longer term and can be less inclusive of some of the processes required to decarbonise our very wide and broad building stock. In the case of the UK, the course and steer is still relatively clear. Despite the post-COVID green recovery and the conflict in the Ukraine, the UK will continue at a pace with its policy direction that has been released in the recent months and years. So what we will have seen and what we have seen is various policy documents. These include Part L of the building regulations, which will seek to increase minimum efficiencies, the heat and building strategy, which will seek to deploy 600,000 heat pumps per annum by 2028, whilst also leaving the door open for decarbonising heat through hydrogen. So they'll be looking at building the safety case, building the case for hydrogen with village trials that are beginning to take place. The heat and building strategy also includes leaving the door open for renewable liquid fuels, which should potentially be a part of the energy mix for decarbonising rural off-grid areas due to the sort of quirky building stock that exists there. Within the hydrogen strategy, which was released along this suite of portfolio of legislation and standards by the government, that has recently been iterated to include a doubling of the low-carbon hydrogen production. So that will jump from 5 gigawatts to 10 gigawatts, with 5 gigawatts being created by clean or green hydrogen.
What are the different energy forms becoming viable as we transition from fossil fuels?
Well, in alignment with the need for increased energy security and supply, the UK has committed to a 100% green electricity system, and kind of within that debate becomes the electrification of heat, which is proving to be a particularly polarising debate. So to support the electrification of heat, which is going to be inevitable to a degree, the government has introduced a strategy whereby they'll be adopting zero VAT on heat pump technology. They recently did launch the boiler upgrade scheme, which is designed to support the move from gas-fired boilers to heat pump technology. The government is also setting up an investment fund into British-made heat pump technology to try and trigger the industry. Along with that suite of policy, the government is also looking into what can be considered as slightly Goggin tax regimes on the costs of energy, and maybe shifting those taxes away from gas to electrification to help support and guide the development of electrification for heat. Sitting along the electrification for heat debate is also a raft of hydrogen related legislation and standards coming through the EU and the UK. So within the European Union, under the REPowerEU scheme, they're looking at hydrogen accelerators, which will look at storage facilities, port terminals and distribution around infrastructure for hydrogen. And on a UK level, as mentioned previously, we have our hydrogen strategy that has been iterated recently to include a doubling of the hydrogen development. This is all gearing up for the development of hydrogen village and town trials. That will be where there'll be a complete switch from natural gas to 100% hydrogen-fired equipment within entire towns and villages, 2,000 domestic buildings and 200 commercial buildings. There have also been announcements around hydrogen blending into the network by 2025. And in many cases, the development of hydrogen is seen as a positive. The overall greater investment in hydrogen technology from a green technology or a clean technology perspective and a dissemination perspective is seen as highly important in some camps in balancing the power network against very variable renewable power. And that's where hydrogen in many instances or within many camps is seen as having a wider part to play in future decarbonisation.
How is Rinnai helping the built environment to decarbonise?
Well, what we're doing at Rinnai to help with the decarbonisation agenda that's at play is we are introducing a set of decarbonisation pathways. These pathways are triggered via our H3 product and services initiative. So those products and services will bring in the best-in-class technologies across three key product groups. Those product groups would be hydrogen-ready water heating and boiler equipment. This would come initially in a 20% blend format through to the world's first 100% hydrogen technology that we've developed and are bringing to market. Along with that, we are looking at advanced technologies and combustion of renewable green gases for off the gas grid, including RDME, which that really needs to be considered as a part of the mix for the decarbonisation of off-grid properties. The second strain of that technology sort of portfolio would come in our hybrid systems. So we would put to market hybrid heat pump, hybrid solar thermal technology, which can all be integrated with either our gaseous fired water heating or boiler equipment, or our smart electronic equipment that can regulate itself in relation to renewable gains.